The day was fading, and the air inside the car felt heavier with every breath. Michael sat behind the wheel, his hands resting loosely on the steering wheel, eyes fixed on the horizon. The warm light of the setting sun painted his tired face in shades of orange and gold. Outside the windshield, the dirt road stretched endlessly toward the shadowed forest. The silence was deafening. No engine, no birds, no wind, only the faint hum of something distant, something waiting. For a long moment, he didn't move. Then, with a quiet sigh, Michael reached for the door handle, and the world outside seemed to hold its breath. Darkness was slowly crawling in, swallowing the narrow dirt path that Michael walked along with hesitant steps. The wind had died down. All that remained was the echo of his own breathing and the crunch of dry leaves beneath his boots. Then suddenly he stopped. The sound he heard wasn't the rustle of leaves. It was something deeper. A low, continuous tone, like a distant whisper echoing through the still air. He lifted his head slowly, eyes scanning the forest veiled in violet mist. The air felt heavier, thicker. That whisper, it wasn't random. It had rhythm, purpose, like a voice murmuring from beneath the roots. He swallowed hard and muttered under his breath, "Just sound, that's all it is." But curiosity pulled harder than fear. He ignored the warnings he'd once heard about the cursed island and stepped carefully toward the source of the sound. Each step he took blended with the whisper, until he could no longer tell which was which, his footsteps or the call. Ahead of him loomed a wall of tangled vines, so dense it looked alive, pulsing faintly in the fading light. Michael reached forward, pushing through the branches. The moment his fingers brushed the leaves, the whisper stopped. Absolute silence. A silence so complete it made his heartbeat thunder in his ears. He took one step back, and then it came. A final whisper, soft, trembling, right next to his ear. Michael pushed through the thick hedge and finally stepped into the forest. The air was heavier than he imagined, filled with the scent of old dampness, as if rain had never left this place. The ground felt soft beneath his boots, layered with dead, decaying leaves. The trees were unlike any he'd seen. Their twisted trunks looked like they were in pain, their branches weaving together to form a suffocating roof of shadows. He lifted his gaze for a moment and froze. The forest was silent, too silent. No birds, no breeze, no signs of life. The quiet felt alive, like something unseen was whispering to him, waiting for him to make a mistake. Michael thought he could turn back, but the forest was no longer the same. Every path he took led him back to the same spot. The air grew heavier, the fog thicker, until he turned one last time and saw it. The wall. Not made of stone or wood, but of living violet mist, shifting, breathing, as if the island itself had come alive to trap him. Now Michael was no longer a visitor. He was part of the island's echo. He stepped back slowly,
still staring at the wall of fog. It seemed to breathe, alive and watching. Then suddenly the sound returned, the same whisper from before, but closer now, clearer.
Michael?
A faint female voice echoed through the trees, barely audible, yet cold enough to freeze his blood. He looked around, breathing hard. The forest was motionless, shadows stretching like arms reaching toward him. Without thinking, he began walking toward the sound, no longer searching for a way out, but for the truth that was now calling his name from the dark. Michael ran toward the sound, his shoes sinking into the damp earth, breath ragged in the thickening dark. Then he stopped. There, in the middle of the silent forest, stood an old wooden cabin. Its roof sagged, its walls cracked like they were breathing with the air. The violet fog surrounded the clearing, but strangely, it avoided the cabin, as if the darkness itself refused to touch it. Michael stepped closer, carefully. His eyes darted between the door and the single side window, and then he froze. Behind the dusty glass, a human-shaped shadow stood perfectly still. It didn't move, it didn't breathe, it was just watching him. He raised his flashlight, but the inside of the glass turned completely black. The shadow didn't fade, it moved closer. Michael's breath was shallow, fog bursting from his mouth in ragged clouds. The cabin stood silent, but the forest wasn't. From somewhere deep among the trees came a low, rhythmic sound, like a heartbeat pulsing through the ground beneath his feet. He turned toward the window again. The shadow was gone. Only the faint light inside flickered, throwing distorted shapes across the glass. Shapes that moved even when nothing inside did. A voice came, whispering just behind his ear, "Leave before it sees you." Michael froze. His flashlight dimmed to a dying glow, then sputtered out. Total darkness swallowed him, broken only by the faint red glimmer coming from inside the cabin. And then a knock. Once, twice, 3 times. But it wasn't coming from the door. It was coming from beneath the floor. The sound grew louder, as if something was crawling under the earth, moving closer, scratching, clawing, pushing upward. Michael stumbled back, his boot sinking slightly into the soil. The ground was soft, breathing. He stared down in disbelief, and the dirt moved. The ground beneath Michael's boots began to tremble, faintly at first, then stronger, like something breathing just below the surface. He stumbled backward, eyes wide, his breath forming shaky clouds in the cold air. Then, silence. The forest stopped moving. No wind, no sound, just the heavy thump of his own heartbeat. He dared to take one slow step forward, and the soil split open. A burst of hot air escaped, carrying with it a smell of rot and iron. From the crack, something pale slithered out, a hand, Not human, but almost. Its skin looked stretched, translucent, veins glowing faintly beneath it like pulsing worms. The hand twitched, then clenched. Michael froze. He wanted to scream, but the air itself seemed to weigh him down. Then a voice, no, voices, whispered from beneath the ground, "Help us, he's awake." The soil shifted again, forming faint outlines, faces, dozens of them, pushing against the dirt, mouths open in silent screams, before fading back into the earth. Michael fell to his knees, gasping, his flashlight flickering wildly, and as he stared into the open crack, something. The air was still, heavy, like it swallowed every breath I took. When I opened my eyes, I was still in the forest, but everything had changed. The ground was solid again. The pit was gone. No red light, no creature. But the whisper didn't fade. It was inside my head now, calling my name. "Michael, come back to the depths." The red light burst from the heart of the pit, tearing through the ground with a sound like grinding metal. Michael staggered backward, shielding his eyes from the blinding glow, then saw what no one should ever see. Something enormous emerged, a mass of moving mud and pulsing veins of purple light. It had no face, only a dark circular void in the center of its body, whispering in the same voice that had called his name before. Michael took one step back, then another. The ground beneath him trembled, cracks spreading like veins across the dirt. The creature slowly turned its head, if it even had one, toward him. And then, with a roar that split the air, the forest screamed back. Michael ran. Branches whipped against his face, roots clutched at his ankles. Behind him, the monster thundered forward, each step shaking the forest floor. Trees cracked and fell like matchsticks. The once silent woods were alive now, alive and furious. The fog moved with the creature, swirling, chasing, breathing. Every whisper had turned into a unified voice, screaming from every direction. "You can't run, Michael. The depth is inside you." Michael staggered, fell hard into the mud, gasping. He turned and froze. The creature was closer, its shifting form stretching and collapsing like it couldn't decide what shape to take. Faces flickered in its body, human, screaming, merging back into the dirt. Michael scrambled up and ran again, his breath sharp and desperate. The air felt thick, heavy, almost alive. Then silence. The forest went still. The fog stopped moving. The monster was gone. Michael stood trembling, his chest heaving. He turned in slow confusion and realized he had reached a place he hadn't seen before. A wide stone circle surrounding another well, much deeper than the first. From inside the darkness came a new voice, this time soft, feminine, almost kind. "Come down, Michael. We've been waiting for you." He looked up at the sky, then down into the glowing red pit. The light pulsed again, once, twice, like a heartbeat calling him home.